I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Hey folks, this is Matt once again. This is a review from Michael King, who was nice enough to send me these sequels to Mimic. And Mimic 3, Sentinel, is what we're talking about today. And, really enough, I think I mentioned this before, Guillermo del Toro, who directed the first film, at the end of his commentary track, he mentioned he did not like Mimic 2, which I talked about. And I gave this film a lot of shit for a reason. Well, a number of reasons. One of them, and weirdly enough, Guillermo del Toro would agree with me. He didn't like that film, but he liked this film, and I like this film. To me, this is why I can give a lot of shit about Mimic 2. It was forgettable, and it's like mediocre at best. Beyond me. But this one, I liked. I mean, it's a perfect no, but Mimic 3 Sentinel, you know, Mimic 2 gets a 4.2. This gets a 4.4. That's way too low for this film. Mimic 3 Sentinel, I like. It's just a better made film. I think you had a better director. The director of Mimic 2, John de Sidonzat. Sorry, I don't think he did a good job, as well as the lead actress in that film. But this one, it's directed by a guy named J.T. Perry. Oh, that's weird. I mentioned Michael Keane. The director of this film did a review that you reviewed, Michael. The Borrowers. Which I'm not sure, I forgot, I don't think he was that shabby on, I forgot. Is that review still up? I don't think so. But the Burrowers, that was a Western horror film with Clancy Brown. I didn't know he directed that one too. I can't remember, Michael, your thoughts on that one. But the same director of this went on to direct the Burrowers. This guy also is a writer on video games. Like, this guy wrote the scripts to the first Splinter Cell. Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. He wrote the video game to Batman Vengeance and Batman Begins. He's still doing stuff. He's directing a film called Hellbenders. I gotta say though, I really did enjoy this film. I do think it was very well directed. For the low budget the guy obviously probably had, he really made a lot of use for it. And it's definitely better directed than the second film, the previous film. Because the film is basically Rear Window, but, you know, take Mimic, mix it with Rear Window, and you got this film. And the film is short. It's even shorter than the second film. Without the end credits, this film's like an hour and 12 minutes. So, to me, it went by quick. Although I will say, this is not an action film at all. There's not much action. But what makes this work as opposed to this, which also didn't have a lot of action. The idea of having the film take a different... It definitely became its own film. The Rear Window aspect really worked. It also helps that it actually has some good actors. Lance Henriksen is in this. But the guy, the lead, is Karl Geary. And at first I was kind of like, okay, what's this guy's problem? But you find out his character, the disease that the little kids had at the beginning of Mimic, where they were dying one by one, this guy had when he was a kid. The Strickler's disease. And then he was cured thanks to the Judas breed. Well, not cured, but helped. And sorry, I'm just itching my nose. But he's still, I guess you call a bubble boy. Like, he can't really leave. He's hypersensitive, allergic, so he has to stay in his room most of the time. His mom is actually played by Amanda Plummer. She does a good job in this film. But the lead guy, so he acts a little bit weird, but this makes more sense to me because, he is a bubble boy type of kid guy. He's a sick individual. I don't know why my nose keeps itching. Sorry. But Katie, Carl Geary did a good job with this film. Oh, God, what the fuck? Sorry. He did a good job with this film, though, Karl Geary. He's done some stuff, but not a lot. Oh, I guess he was in The Burrowers, weirdly enough. He was in that film. Hamlet as Horatio. That's the Hamlet with Ethan Hawke. Nadja. That sounds familiar, Nadja. Why does that sound familiar, Nadja? That does sound familiar. What the hell is that? So, alternate postmodern vampire film with Peter Fonda as Dracula / Dr. Van Helsing? The fuck is this? How is he Dracula and Van Helsing? The fuck is this? That's weird. Sorry, I just got sidetracked because it's like, what the fuck is that? Nadja. Peter Fonda as Dracula / Dr. Van Helsing. It was presented by David Lynch. That's interesting. Sorry. But anyway, so the kid is hypersensitive, and he spends a lot of time with his camera, like Rear Window. And the film, I like the idea. I not all the time, but a lot of times I like the Rear Window idea when it's put into a film. For instance, I really like Disturbia. I love road games. I like those kind of movies. Fright Night, the original Fright Night, that is. Not a fan of the remake. But I like that idea. The sort of voyeur aspect of, seeing what the character is seeing. Sort of doing like this or doing like this, or, seeing what the character sees. For instance, there's this figure that he doesn't know called Garbageman, which you find out that's Lance Henriksen. But it's sort of that mystery of who this Garbageman is. That's what the guy nicknames him. And like he has pictures on his wall and like makes up names for them because he doesn't know their real names. And the film's balls. I mean, right off the bat, he's looking through his camera, but then he turns away, and there's a kid out there, and a kid gets killed at the beginning of this film. And As opposed to Mimic 2, the kills here are vicious. Like, they seem vicious. Like, they're going, they're poking holes, or the way the camera, the editing, and the blood is flowing freely. Unlike the kills in this film where it's like cutaway and shit, the kills in this film seem vicious. And the first one is a fucking kid. I'm like, whoa, shit. And the lead has a sister who's you can tell she's a little bit of a junkie. Not the strongest actress in the world. I warmed up to her a little bit, but not the strongest actress in the world. Let's see. Then you have this girl that he watches a little bit across the way, and the guy's sister brings her around to meet him. But he's hypersensitive, so if like he sniffs like she was smoking before or perfume, he has like these air tanks to help him breathe as well. And basically, the film is a slow unveiling of watching over there, and people start being missing. Like a friend of his sister's, who's also her drug dealer, he's missing. And when people get attacked, vicious. Uh, what I liked about the film, I mean, I know that doesn't seem like much, and I've gone 10 minutes into this already. What I liked about the film, not only is because it's a short film, it's fast-paced, I like the lead guy, you feel sorry for him because of his sickness, his illness, but he's still trying to do his best. The Rear Window type aspect may lead to some interesting filmmaking that I like. For instance, there are certain moments where in order to mimic time passing, it's just you hear the sound of a camera and you see like a picture, and you just see like a picture, then a picture, then a picture of a person moving, or you see like a picture of person went this way, and then a picture of this, and then a picture, and it's hard to explain, but it's like it shows a passage of time through a series of pictures. That was interesting. Um, there are times if the guy's looking away or if he exits the room, the camera will push because the camera he photographs is on a stand. The film camera will push right into the handheld camera so we can look through the lens. And for instance, we see like the camera was on a guy's apartment. The guy walks into the room and you see the creature attack the guy. Now, of course, the camera's not moving. We see it tapped. And I like that sort of interesting ideas with using, making a mimic sequel, but doing it a different way. So it's not a carbon copy of this film, the first film. The film has problems. I mean, once in a while characters do dumb stuff. Like, apparently, like, near the beginning, his sister says, "Oh, look, I saw a body down there." And it's like, well, why don't you call a cop? And you never really see him call a cop on it. I don't really know why. Or, for instance, there's a scene where you find out that Lance Henriksen is actually a guy who, he has a certain item, like a keen aid or whatever, and he wants to do a deal with these guys, and the lead guy's sister and their friend, the girl he's been watching, they're looking, and there's a creature behind them. He can't get him on the phone, but then he just starts looking. I'm like, dude, why don't you break the fucking window and yell, "Hey, hey, bitch!" Like, "Hey, fuckers!" or "Hey, there's a some bitch behind you!" Like, just yell it out, or run out and tell them, or fucking don't just stand there and watch. I know you see it, you're a bubble boy, but there are times throughout the film where he's able to venture out for little bits of time. Break the fucking window, go, "Hey, behind you, bitch!" So you have certain elements of characters doing stuff that you're like, why? And also there's a bit of business where at one time they do call the cops, and then a cop comes, and the guy's like an asshole. Pretty much an asshole. And then for some reason the cop has the hots for their mom, Amanda Plummer. And that bit of business didn't need to be in the movie. Because the guy basically, the lead kid says, oh, what about you men here and here? And the guy's like, well, I don't have men. I'll check it out. And then basically the guy gets killed. So really he was there for nothing. So the cop character was brought in for nothing, no reason. It's like, you didn't really need him in the film. And why all of a sudden is he just gets to, he like moves into their place to fuck their mom. And I'm like, what? That was stupid. And the tears, do dumb stuff. But that aside, those two problems aside, I think the cast do their jobs well. Lance Henriksen is always nice to see Lance Henriksen. Lance Henriksen, I don't think he's nice. He doesn't star in the film, but when he's on screen, he's nice sleepwalking through it. Uh, but yeah, it's a short film, so it doesn't go on too long. Some people, I don't know. I guess if you don't like Rear Window type movies, and it's not an action film, it's not. Um, it goes at its own pace, so maybe some people will be bored, but I wasn't. Because I like the idea of it. I like the interesting shots that the director had. When the kills happened, I thought they were vicious. Like when Lance Harrison gets killed, it's a boom right in his fucking face. But he's able to have a shotgun blow the head off a fucking bug. This Lance Harrison, find out he's a bad guy. But the build-up of, who the Garbageman is and what's his deal is, and do a nice build-up, little mystery to it, which I just spoiled, I know, but the film's been out for a while, come on. And maybe some people will not like the lack of action, but at the end it really comes home in the action front, where Lance Henriksen, one day leads to another, leads to another, don't have to tell the whole thing. He gets into the kid's apartment, has a teenage. You really feel sorry for the kid. The whole place gets on fire. Amanda Plummer gets killed right in front of him. The creatures, there are some bad CGI shots, but it's like the director knew that, so that's why a lot of times the bugs are hidden in the dark. But you still also have some good practical effects as well, and practical blood. And you really feel sorry for the kid, and he's fighting bad, fucks up the egg, gets his air tanks into the oven and hides in the fridge. And I like what the director did here, where it's dark, and then when the bugs, practical claws poked in or poking the guy, when the door opens and the light comes on, that's when we see. And then when he tries to close it again, it's dark. Then they pull it open again, and he's trying to pull it back, and he gets poked, and the blood and stuff. Or like another interesting shot earlier where his sister and their friend are knocking on a door, and it goes through the peephole, and we see inside the room that they're knocking, and the slow pan throughout the whole room, and it's like a massacre in there, like blood, paint the walls red sort of way, and you see a little bit of body parts, but it's all this massive blood. And I just thought it was very well directed for, a low-budget film. I thought the guy knew what he was doing suspense-wise. You do have some good practical effects, but it's also a nice mixture of Rear Window and Mimic. I thought that was a cool idea. I like the lead guy. His sickly ailment kind of made you feel more sorry for him. I thought the guy did a good job acting-wise. It's a short film, again, an hour and 12 minutes. Goes by pretty quick. Um, Entertaining finale, like exciting finale. That's where you definitely get some bits of action in the finale. Really decent sequel. I really liked the film. It was definitely one of those films I first saw this way back when, and it was a big surprise for me. Like, wow, you can actually do it. And if you're not sure about it, I would give it a look. I would give it a watch. Although I spoiled most of it, but I still give it a watch. It's other than the cop, little bit with the cop moving in, liking the mom, that was useless, and the guy was an asshole, so that was pointless. Once in a while, your lead characters do something stupid. You're like, why? But that, granted, still really good, really pretty damn decent. For a direct-to-DVD sequel, it was pretty damn decent film. Better than you'd expect, in my opinion. I don't think the 4.4, I think it deserves a little bit higher than that. I mean, it's Amendment 3 Sentinel. I don't know why the fuck it's called Sentinel, but Terror has been reinvented. Well, I guess you could say that. It's definitely different than the previous two films. And that was fine. It definitely becomes its own movie. It doesn't try to copy the first film. It's not as boring and tedious and unlikable like the second film. And Number 3 is definitely worth a watch, in my opinion. But either way, thanks for watching, and take care. Later.